Also says China's Air Force, quote, has been reassigned a nuclear mission. This comes amid heightened tensions between both countries over trade. Nile Gardiner is the director of the Margaret Thatcher Center for Freedom at the Heritage Foundation. Great to see you. Let's get to it. What do you make of this latest report on China's military focus?
Well, Mike, I'd say this report really is a wake-up call, actually. This is a very detailed assessment of the overall military threat that China poses, and without a doubt, China is emerging as a major threat to the United States and its allies, of course, in Asia. The Chinese are ramping up the modernization of their military. They are basically practicing for long-range military strikes in the Pacific. We are dealing here with a rising superpower that has ambitions to match the United States in terms of overall military capability by the middle of the century. It's already investing about $190 billion a year on defense spending. That's going to increase in the next decade or so to about $250 billion. But the ultimate goal, of course, for China is to be able to challenge the United States as a global superpower. And this report, I think, is crystal clear in its assessment of the scale of the threat, the long-term threat and the immediate threat that the United States and its allies face from China today.
These kind of actions typically have a reaction, so what should the United States do in response to signs of increased aggression from Beijing?
Well, I think a number of things. I mean, firstly, of course, the United States has to increase defense spending. We're seeing that coming in from the Trump administration, which has been very robust in terms of reversing some of the disastrous defense cuts of the Obama era. So we do now have a far more robust defense posture from this administration, but far more needs to be done in terms of modernization of the United States military to deal with both the Russian and the Chinese military threat. Also, of course, I think it's absolutely imperative that the United States stands with its allies in the region, in particular with Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, for example. A very clear message has to be sent to Beijing that any kind of aggression against U.S. allies will be certainly met in a very, very robust fashion by the United States. And so I think on a whole host of fronts, the United States has to be extremely proactive in dealing with the rising Chinese threat. But also I think that, we have to, remember that China is a nation that has tremendous superpower ambitions. And while the most pressing immediate threat, I think, to U.S. interests is posed by Russia, the Chinese potentially pose an even greater long-term strategic threat to United States interests. So I think we do have to take a long-term view here. The Chinese are playing a long-term game over the course of many, many decades. And we have to view both Russia and China as major strategic adversaries for the United States.
I remember the Obama administration saying it wanted